Hi, I'm Bob Fox, president and founder of Stacks. If you haven't already experienced sport stacking, I'd love to show you this great new sport already part of thousands of today's innovative new physical education programs. Now, sport stacking is a track meet for your hands at warp speed. It's an exciting individual, partner, and team sport where participants stack 12 specially designed high-tech cups called Speed Stacks in predetermined sequences with amazing dexterity and coordination. Combine sport stacking with fitness activities and you've got a well-rounded unit as part of your overall physical education curriculum. Okay, so I'll be the first to admit that the thought of stacking a bunch of plastic cups in a PE class sounds downright silly. Just as I'm sure it did when in 1891, Professor James Naismith suggested we throw a ball into a peach basket on the side of a barn. But just look how far the game of basketball has come today. This game of stacking cups has its origins in a youth recreation center in Southern California back in the early 1980s. I first saw kids stacking in 1990 on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson when I was an elementary classroom teacher. At that time, as a part-time professional juggler, this unusual stacking skill struck me as a kind of upside-down juggling. In 1995, I became a PE teacher and introduced this idea of stacking to my students to help them with their dexterity, motor skill development, and hand-eye coordination. My students went nuts over it. What we did in class led to an after-school program where I had some 200 kids participate. Before I knew it, I was hosting an all-school tournament where more than half the student body competed. Building on that momentum, my family and I started sharing sport stacking with physical educators and their students all around the country. It was their excitement that led us to start our company Speed Stacks out of our basement in 1998. Ever since, and I'm happy to say no longer in the basement, we've been dedicating ourselves full-time to sharing this unique sport known around the world as sport stacking. I mentioned my family because it was the enthusiasm of our own 3 kids that convinced my wife Jill and I how great sport stacking is for skill development and just plain fun. Our 3 were hooked right away and they couldn't get enough of stacking, especially racing against each other. It's no secret that the success of Speed Stacks has its roots with the Fox kids. 3 regular kids, very much into traditional sports, but all immediately drawn to sport stacking at a very young age. Our daughter Emily used sport stacking as a springboard for a successful college and professional career in basketball as a point guard. Our oldest son Brennan plays college football as a tight end and also plays a mean game of ping pong. And our youngest son Kit, born with eye complications, has emerged as a strong tennis player and voracious reader. We give much of the credit to the countless hours they spent sport stacking as youngsters, developing important skills that serve them well today. Our kids are older now, but we found the staying power of sport stacking has reached a whole new generation of students who are also nuts about it, and teachers who are extremely energized about teaching it. There are 2 things we hear time and time again from physical educators. My students absolutely love sport stacking, and this is one of the best, if not the best, units in my PE curriculum. Kids love it because it's easy to learn, it's hands-on, and it's fun. Teachers love it because it improves their students' motor skills, mental focus, and fitness levels. It motivates kids to move, and on top of that, sport stacking meets NASP standards for quality physical education. For these reasons, sport stacking with Speed Stacks is featured in several leading books on physical education. In addition, university studies on sport stacking have shown improvement in hand-eye coordination and reaction time, increased activation of both sides of the brain, improvement in reading comprehension skills, and energy expenditure similar to other activities commonly taught in physical education classes today. Now, we're often asked how sport stacking addresses the childhood obesity issue. Our On the Move with Speed Stacks activity guide, 5-day lesson plan, and fitness stacking guide tackles this head-on by combining sport stacking with a variety of fitness, strength, flexibility, and cardio activities to keep kids moving. Here's what other educators are saying about sport stacking with Speed Stacks.
The advice I would give to other PE teachers to start a sports stacking program is do it. You will benefit so much by the way your students respond to it. They love the stacking, and just teach them.
My students love the fact that they can be successful immediately. They start out with the basics. We try to teach it with the basic fundamentals so we don't have the bad habits. And we get them to the mat as soon as, we get them on a timer as soon as they have their basic 3-6-3 down. And as soon as these kids see that time better than their previous time, they're very excited to take it to the next level. And we incorporate this through games and stations and tables and floor races and you name it, we try to tie it in all aspects and they can't get enough of it.
You have to get on board. It's the best thing for every kid, no matter what their ability level is, what their interest level is, their activity level. Every single kid can do this, and every single kid can feel successful with sports stacks.
Over and over again, we hear from teachers about how sport stacking levels the playing field and includes kids who often don't get excited about PE while still challenging the athletically gifted students. Sport stacking is also great for students with special needs, including both physical and mental disabilities. You know, this means a lot to us, and we are proud to be promoting a sport that reaches all ages and athletic abilities. Now, our mission here at SpeedStacks is to establish long-term, ongoing sport stacking programs by sharing with educators like you. Sport stacking with SpeedStacks. See it, believe it, teach it.